Well, thank you so much. And of course, everyone, they associate Iowa with a trek across the entire state on bicycles, Jackie, and it sounds like there's a new one.
Well, there's a lot of headlines happening right now, so we want to talk to the man who's created something new for our state, TJ, this morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Tell us the things we don't know so far, because I know you've been interviewed quite a few times, but we wanted to talk to you personally about kind of what happened behind the scenes to now create Iowa's Ride.
Well, the main thing that I just want to clear up, I mean, the main reason why I retired from that position and moved on to a different one was because I just wanted to be open and transparent with the people that have trusted me. And obviously headlines read it a different way, but I've been open and honest and transparent for 16 years. And when I can't come out and tell people what's going on, people that have trusted me. So when that happened, you know, and said, hey, instead of me speaking from the heart, they offered me talking points. I just felt that, hey, if I bend that time, I'm going to bend every time. And so I just took a stand.
Now, that was one of the things that people were a little unclear of, and that's really what the bottom line was. Is you wanted to say something, and you weren't allowed to do so.
Yeah, and I had so many questions. If you look at our email chain that came in, and if you look at our Facebook and our blog post, there was so many questions out there. Say, hey, TJ, hey, team, can you clear this up before registration opens up? I want to know what's going on. And those were things that I kept asking and getting delayed and delayed. And finally, they just said, no, you can't make any public statements. And so, you know what? I took a stand. And it was tough to do. It's bittersweet. I've put my heart and soul into that ride for 16 years. I've talked to you several times about the ride. But, you know, it was a tough decision.
Let's talk about that transparency. What were you wanting to say?
Well, the biggest thing was that the Des Moines Register does not speak for RAGBRAI. And RAGBRAI doesn't speak for the Des Moines Register. They're two separate leadership teams.
Does the Register own RAGBRAI?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, since day one.
All right.
Yeah, it's their ride, and you know they can handle it as they wish. But I've never had them come across that line where, you know, they report the news and they write editorials. I've never waded into that field, and they've never waded into our field. And so we were doing, I think a pretty good thing for the state of Iowa by putting on this ride. And so when we start having people in a corporate setting trying to make decisions just to make sure everyone looks good, that's really tough to deal with. And I know what's best for the ride. I thought I did for 16 years, and I was always about what's best for the ride, keeping it safe, and what's really good for the state of Iowa. And so those things were really tough to deal with.
So you just followed protocol. What you needed to do, you had to take your statement and submit it to them first before it went out.
Well, I've never had to do that until 2 weeks ago.
And did they come to you and say you had to do this?
Well, I knew it was a big deal. And it was, I mean, obviously headlines for a week. You couldn't, you know, there was a pretty big story going on. So when I said, hey, I need to make a statement because I've got just fire coming at RAGBRAI. I had already talked to a sponsor that had said, hey, we're not interested anymore. There was things like that were really starting to get, bringing that whole firestorm onto RAGBRAI. And so I just said, you know what, hey, we didn't start this fire. I just need to clear it up. And so we made a donation. Wanted to make a full-blown statement exactly what's going on, making sure that people don't know that the newsroom doesn't speak for RAGBRAI. A lot of that statement got gutted. That would have cleared it up in the first place.
Wow. So let's talk about what's now been created, which is Iowa's Ride.
Yeah,
let's talk about that this morning.
All right, well, we're really excited. One thing I do want to clear up, people are asking why that same date.
Yes, thank you. That was going to be my next question.
You know, last year my wife and I celebrated 20 years of marriage. And we went, took a great vacation with the whole family. You know how long we planned that vacation? About 2 years. Right. Okay. So people that are coming from San Francisco or Portland, Oregon, or New York City or Florida, you know, they don't just say, okay, it's October, where are we going to go this summer vacation? People plan that date. People ask off work a year in advance. There are some people that have to give their dates of vacation right away.
So can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So for the person that's coming in from Florida who needs to plan almost a year in advance, who isn't unfortunately watching this morning but maybe online, they now have to choose because it's on the same day. So what do you say to that person who isn't necessarily invested in the local drama, so to speak. What do you say to that?
Well, they more than likely wouldn't do 2 rides anyway. I mean, they're gonna have to make a choice.
Pick one or the other, yeah.
The thing that I want to state, unequivocally, that we're going to take this money and put it back into the state of Iowa. 100% of proceeds. I know what it costs to put on a large ride to keep people safe.
Right.
When that's all said and done, we're just going to give it all back. And half of it we've already earmarked for this year to go to the Children's Hospital over in Iowa City, and the other half, let's put it back into those towns that work really hard to put on this event. It's amazing. In the past I've worked with these towns for 6 months, and it would be nice to give them a check of $50,000 or $100,000 to go to that pool project, or go to a new park gazebo or something like that, to show, hey, you know what, we hosted tens of thousands of people in our city. I'd really like to do something that leaves a legacy when all those riders came through, and here's something to show for it.
What do you anticipate for the inaugural event?
As far as what, Lou?
Number-wise.
Number-wise, it's hard to say. I don't know what success is. I just know this. We've had an outpouring of love since day one. We've had people that have come up to us, say, hey, you know what, I really like the tone of where the ride's going. This is kind of getting back to the roots about going into towns, making a difference in those towns. And a lot of people said it was getting too corporate and stuff like that we wanted to eat in the VFWs and wanted to eat at the girls softball booth and stuff like that. So will there be corporations involved? Sure. This is America. I mean, there's going to be corporations involved, but let's make it more Americana. Let's make it back to, let's make a difference in those communities that step up and host riders from all over the world.
So really quickly, let's go back. Iowa's Ride. What is it, and
Sure.
how can people learn more at this point?
So it's a 7-day bike ride across the state of Iowa. We're going to start in western Iowa. Sometime next month, we'll release information about where we're going to start.
I kind of saw you roll your eyes up there. You almost said something. You go, no, well, sometime next month.
Usually you guys ask some kind of question, hey, where we're going. So at least I narrowed it down for you.
Okay, we're starting the west side.
So we're going to start in the west. It's going to be northern Iowa.
Route.
So you already have that information right there. So you've kind of narrowed it down that we're not going to be in the south. We're not going to be in central. So northern Iowa is where we're going to be. Right away when I get done here, we're looking at towns and we're looking at routes and all those kind of discussions. So there's a lot to get done, a lot more to come. I'm sure there's a lot more to come in this story as well. But I can tell you this, I've been doing this, I've been doing bike touring for over 20 years. The number one thing is, can we have an enjoyable ride and a safe ride? And if we can't do those two things, I mean, it's, we've dealt with a lot of tragedy. I lost a good friend that was on a bike ride and on another event just this year. Went to his funeral, and it was just heartbreaking that someone, a dear friend, was killed at a bike event. So safety is absolutely the most important thing. And if we can't put out a safe and enjoyable ride, we're not going to do it.
Are you able to say who's a part of Iowa's Ride to this point, or is that not yet being fully released?
Well, there's a lot of pieces that are going on right now, and so just keep watching. It's only October. Mm-hmm. Again, by November, we plan to have a rat out, which people really love. Some great towns, and it's amazing how many people have reached out to me. I mean, mayors and city managers and chambers and tourism people and towns all across northern Iowa since we said that. And these are people that I've worked with over those 16 years that say, TJ, we've worked with your team. We understand, that you're in it. You understand our town and what makes us tick up in northern Iowa. So I'm really looking forward to, getting in there, meeting people, sitting down in the coffee shops with those committees and just really getting to work of doing some really good stuff for the state of Iowa.
All right, TJ, tell everybody when the ride's happening.
All right, it is July 19th through the 25th. In northern Iowa, to be continued on that one. Iowa's Ride is iowasride.com, and it's going to be fun. And you know what? My predecessor used to say, if we're not going to have fun, let's not do it. So that's always been our motto around here. Let's have some fun and do some meaning with that fun.
Wow. Is that the biggest thing? Is that the biggest difference at this point? Is the fact of giving back, or what is your last statement when you about the Iowa?
You know what? I mean, if you want to say what's different than what I've done in the past, absolutely. Putting our money where our mouth is and just saying, you know what, we're going to step up and deliver it back to the state of Iowa.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us
You
today.
bet.
I'm sure we'll be talking more
All right.
as we get
Anytime.
closer to
So
Ira's
if you want to
ride.
announce the ride on a little TV program,
Hey,
you know you have a
this
platform.
living room looks nice.
Doesn't it? Okay, just saying.
Yeah.
All right. TJ, thank you.
All
buddy.
right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Lou.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Jackie.
All right, 12 minutes past 7 o'clock. Don't go too far. We are going to be right back.